welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, March 10th, 2021. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. Government and health officials here met today to discuss the possible reopening of schools. During his weekly appearance on NBC Radio during the morning period, Prime Minister Dr. Alvin Saab said, in his view, all the circumstances are properly aligned for the reopening of school without persons having to worry about further spread of the coronavirus here in SVG. The Prime Minister said the matter has to be judged based on facts and science.
Because other than the cluster which we have had at mental health center, the numbers have been falling significantly, and in fact on a couple of days, for instance Sunday and Monday, there was 0. So I think that has to be discussed very, very seriously, because all of us are concerned about schools not being on. The parents, the students, the overwhelming majority of teachers. You'd always have a small number of teachers who I'm told don't mind it like how it's going. But do I find that hard to believe? I want to know who are these teachers. But in any case, the overwhelming majority of all the stakeholders, parents, students, teachers, everybody, really want us to get back to school. But I will hear what the Ministry of Education officials have to say. I want them to come and tell me in cabinet what are the reasons, if any, for not going back to school as a matter of urgency. They may well persuade me. I haven't closed my mind. And naturally, Curtis King, the Minister of Education, his own views are very important, and his assessment.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Gonsalves said the government will be seeking to ensure students across SVG have access to water, electricity, and internet service. He noted that Minister of Finance Camilo Gonsalves has been working on a program to provide cheap internet service to 1,000 students across SVG.
Through his workings with Flow, Digicel, and his work with the IT providers in the telecommunications companies and the NTRC, the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission. They have worked out some specials, and those are announced, but they're also for students. They're doing something for 1,000 students who don't have internet facilities. So there's a general provision in relation to reducing the cost. And he has spoken about it, and so too the NTRC, and I think you'll see some further announcements this week by NTRC.
And the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, NTRC, today launched 2 programs offering households in St. Vincent and the Grenadines the opportunity to access internet connection under the USF Smart Project for a period of 2 years at the cost of $10 per month. The 2 programs include the subsidized internet service, which will be offered through its Universal Fund, and the SIM card initiative, which will be offered through the General NTRC Budget 2021. Director of the NTRC, Apollo Knights, said 340 students are expected to benefit from the subsidized internet program after meeting with certain criteria.
We originally planned to start this in August, so you line up with the school year, so persons will get 2 years in school. But we bring that forward to today. So that's a $10 per month package. You pay for $10, we pay the rest. This lasts for 2 years, and this is with a fixed connection to your home. So you get a modem and a Wi-Fi access point that you can share with everyone in the household. Right, so in addition to that 340 households we're going to start today, additional 340, before I go on to the other one, I just want to mention for the 340, there's some criteria to it. You cannot have internet currently at your home, so you cannot say you're going to have internet now, you come off of it to save money. So we normally verify this stuff. It's not possible. We'll check with the providers on that. So in this package, normally we expect persons not to have internet for the last 2 years.
The other program that was launched today is the SIM card initiative, which Knight said will benefit 2,000 students who have received tablets from the government.
So this program we're launching, Digicel will target those tablets whereby you will get a SIM card to insert into the tablet, and you will receive the wireless connection via that SIM into the tablet. Right, in this package, you'll get 40 gigabytes of data for the month. You'll also be able to access the Microsoft Teams application, which the Ministry of Education is using mainly for the online schooling. Right, Digicel has agreed to offer that application free, so once you're doing meetings via that, do not use any of the data. So you get 40 gigabytes of data. Once you use the Microsoft Teams, it will not use any of that 40 gigabytes. So then you can use that 40 gigabytes for other research work, other stuff that you do for the month.
In other news, Cabinet was also expected to consider today a proposal by the Vincentian Transportation Association, VINTAS, on behalf of the Omnibus operators for an increase in their passenger capacity. Over the last 3 days, a number of operators have pulled their buses off the roads, demanding that the government reviewed the stipulation under the Public Health Measures 2020, which reduced the passenger capacity on omnibuses by half to at least 8 paying passengers. The omnibus operators have lamented that the regulation is unreasonable, as they would not be able to meet their expenses. Speaking on NBC Radio today, Prime Minister Gonsalves said he received a letter of reconsideration on the number of passengers allowed in an omnibus from the president of VINTAS, and he will seek advice from the chief medical officer before taking it to cabinet, where a decision will be made. Prime Minister Gonsalves mentioned some of the other issues raised in the letter from VINTAS.
In Georgetown, we used to have a washroom where people gather just on the Georgetown side of the Caratal Bridge, get buses and the like. But but it got washed away, and they're asking, not unreasonably, for a facility like that again. But we have to get a particular spot in the vicinity. I think that's not an unreasonable request. And they have some maximum numbers they want to suggest and some minimum in relation to the persons in the minibuses. The maximum requests, they would know that that's not reasonable.
Prime Minister Gonsalves expressed disappointment with the omnibus operators that withdrew their services over the last 3 days.
I try to wrap my head around the reasonableness of all that, and I have a lot of minibus friends, and of course party, and I personally have a lot of supporters among minibus operators. But I'm disappointed in those who decided that they're going to withdraw their services. I understand that they said that they didn't get any letter. I personally called Roy Adams. I said, this is the situation. We are making the arrangements to make the payments by the 2 payments. $500 and for the 18-seater, and those above 18-seater, the $600.
According to the Prime Minister, some of the reasons given by omnibus operators for withdrawing their services are unreasonable, noting that some of the operators want to receive the government subsidy and not work at all.
And I also said, it seems reasonable to require that you be on the road for 4 days out of the 7 days in the week. Well, 6 days really, Monday to Saturday inclusive. That one of the days, Mondays to Fridays, you somewhere wrong with your vehicle, you have to go inside. From what I understand, both from the letter and from what I read in the press, is that they would like that even if they stay home, you must give them the money. Persons will say to me, well, Ralph, how are you going to police this thing? Well, the most you can do in policing it practically is that the traffic police can help you to track the matter.
Over the last 3 days, a number of commuters have been experiencing long waiting hours at bus terminals at the bus stops in several parts of the island due to the strike action taken by omnibus operators. Our news team today spoke with several affected commuters at the Windward and Leeward bus terminals in the capital, Kingston, and at bus stops along the Massey supermarkets in Arnisville. We hear more in this report.
While the frustration levels varied depending on what area the commuters were traveling to, it is clear that the majority of omnibus operators across St. Vincent and the Grenadines have united in their bid to get the government to increase their passenger capacity.
I've been standing here for a while to return back home, but I haven't get a van as yet.
About an hour now, swear to God.
Nearly half an hour now. Me have to pay a taxi when? Day before yesterday, $5 to go.
Let me see the time now. I did since about a little before 1 o'clock.
Okay, so where area are you going to?
Not Leeward, Spring Village. No, now at all. No. You might get one this afternoon named Brooks. That is the only one you might get to go Spring. Mike. And it's only 6 he carrying. I leave home since after 4 this morning to get the first van to come up, because the van then just take a chance to bring up little more, and that is it.
Commuters expressed mixed reviews on the strike action taken by the omnibus operators. While some say they can understand their position, others lament that the lack of transportation to get them to and from home is stressful.
I understand the van man them family world, because it's real hard to come out from down there with several people, and that is only $35, and that really comes. So I understand them. You understand? I mean, the government right now, as the thing easing up, the government should give them be a little more easy with them, put 3 on a seat. And I feel if 3 go on a seat, the van them man go feel comfortable walking. Even if they not getting $500 a month, but at least 3 on a seat, and they go get more of them to come out and now. Especially not Leeward. Not Leeward people suffer. Let me tell you, suffer.
It's affecting us real bad, no? Yeah, because we can't get to move as freely as we used to be before.
But are we bad because I forgot to work? I work down back now, Mespo. And it really hard for now. I work from Harakees go Mespo. I don't know why driver them behaving like that, but them have to know. COVID day in there have to satisfy with what they get.
The government ain't moving fair. Right, for instance, right, they're going to bring in e-bus stop. Right, so they're going to spend basically thousands of dollars now for bringing e-bus system. How you could tell me that you're going to put 8 people in a whole bus for go Georgetown? It don't make no sense.
As alternative transportation options pop up amidst the ongoing strike action, SVG-TV News observed firsthand several taxi operators overloading their vehicles with eager commuters desperate to get to their destinations. The need to look into this emerging issue was raised by one concerned commuter.
Taxi them, as you could see yesterday, them taxi carrying 7 and they pulling right up 3 and I see cloak up. And the police them don't inspect them, the police them don't stop them, is the minibus them. Them taxi they walk packing up with people. If you go there now, you see the amount of people going in that taxi. And the taxi them going on coming up full and go down full. And the van man them under pressure. The taxi them carrying $10 ahead and the van man them only at $65 ahead. It's $5 and $6 ahead. So they have to look into that. That is why the van man them ain't walk into, because the taxi man them carrying 7 people and $10 and them can't make that.
Omnibus operators on Monday, March 8th, under the directive of the umbrella body, the Vincentian Transportation Association, withdrew their services for a 3-day strike. However, some operators have said that they are willing to prolong the action until more favorable conditions can be put in place so that they can meet their operating and living expenses. Reporting for SVG-TV News, I am Shavsha Speedwell Callum.
In some COVID-19 related news now, St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Tuesday reported 7 new positive cases from 175 samples received and processed on Monday, March 8, resulting in a positivity rate of 4%. The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, said 7 persons were cleared, bringing the number of total recoveries to 1,107. 555 cases remain active, and 8 persons with COVID-19 have died. 1,670 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in St. Vincent and the Grenadines since March 2020. NEMO is again urging the public to use masks, sanitize, physically distance, and get vaccinated to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The walking vaccination site at the Victoria Park is once again open from 9 a.m. on Monday, March 8, and will continue to Saturday, March 13, 2021. Minister of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture, Carlos James, is appealing to stakeholders in the tourism sector to join the current COVID-19 vaccination drive. The Agency for Public Information says the tourism minister was among hundreds of Vincentians who turned up at health centers across the country this week to receive their first dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. Minister James, who received his vaccine on Monday, March 8, 2021, at the Chateaubelair Health Center, made the call for stakeholders within the tourism sector to play an even greater role in the fight against the novel coronavirus by giving greater consideration to vaccination. Minister James cautioned that the global tourism sector simply cannot continue to sustain the economic hemorrhage that it is experiencing, noting that some airline and cruise operators will likely implement new measures to kickstart travel tourism. The minister noted that we all have a part to play in proving a safe environment, which can be achieved by adhering to the necessary health protocols and ultimately being vaccinated. So far, over 5,000 Vincentians have received a COVID-19 vaccine, with another 30,000 doses to be administered nationally. Water operations being made locally in the event of an explosive eruption of the volcano. Neighboring countries are also putting plans in place in the event that they will need to provide assistance to SVG. The St. Lucia Disaster Emergency Management Organization says the island stands ready to take in Vincentian evacuees if the need arises. We hear more in this report from St. Lucia.
NEMO and the OECS have been in contact with the authorities in St. Vincent and are standing by to provide assistance if necessary.
They have been doing quite a bit of work at the community level to inform persons of what to do and when there is a need to evacuate, how they should. We have been sharing documents with them as to our evacuation plans that we have locally, and they too have been informing us, so we are preparing at the local level in the event that we need to accept persons from St. Vincent. The OECS as a body have been on board. There have been quite a number of meetings with the heads, and so we are prepared to, if there is a need for human mobility to take place.
Welcome back. Continuing now with more local news. The legal fraternity here in SVG is mourning the passing of a leading member of the profession, Queen's Counsel Bertram. The Queen's Counsel passed away on Monday, March 8, 2021. President of the SVG Bar Association and senior lawyer with Batiste and Company law firm Rennie Batiste remembered Comajong QC from the late 60s when he returned to SVG as a lawyer. Batiste said Comajong's passion was civil law and that he was influential in her returning to the Bar Association as president.
Practicing off and on, and I knew him more connected with politics. That's how I knew Bertram Comajong. And I've heard him speak, not in court. I heard him speak at the market square, at political meetings. That's how far back I know him. And he was one of the persons who actually came to my chambers to ask me to take on the mantle of being president of the Bar Association. He actually came here one day. Because remember, I had left practice in 2000 to go into politics, and I came back in 2011, and he came to see me in 2013.
Batiste said that she last saw him in practice at the election petition hearings 2 years ago, noting also that he had a love for singing.
And he was indeed from the old school, and as a young pup, a young lawyer, you know, we were always fascinated by his tattered robe. You know, when your robe has a little a little tear, it indicates how senior you are in the profession. I know him, you know, and I also know him as he loved to sing as well. Whenever the opening of the law term and we decided we were going to sing an item in the church, or he wanted to be always involved and sing and so on.
Fellow Queen's Counsel Panel Campbell said he learned of Comajong's death on Monday.
As soon as I got back home on Monday evening after taping the law and you at Dorset Hill, and I was saddened considerably. Of course, a few days before I had heard that he had had an operation, and the news was that he was recovering, so that when I got the news on Monday that he had died, I was really taken back. Now, I have known about Bertram Comajong long before I first met him. I knew about him in about 1959 because his younger brother, John Comajong, happened to have been in class with me at the St. Vincent Grammar School.
Campbell QC said Comajong was very supportive during his tenure as Attorney General, noting that SVG has lost a great son of the field of law.
When I was Attorney General, he gave me strong support from the Bar Association. And then we really got to bond in about 2003 when we both became members of the Constitutional Review Commission, CRC, deeply knowledgeable person in the law, very easygoing. He was a patriot through and through. He was supported in his chambers by his daughter Mira, and I want to give her my condolences. She's not in St. Vincent at the moment, but St. Vincent has lost a great man. As I said, deeply learned in the law, a Queen's Counsel, one of the oldest Queen's Counsel in terms of service. He was my senior by many years.
And lawyer Vinette Fredericks of the Fredericks law firm says they are mourning with the family and friends of the senior counsel. Fredericks said Comajong, a close friend of her father, who is shaken by his death. She said that Comajong will be remembered for his fearless fight for justice for all his clients.
He extends his condolences to the family and really is profoundly affected by his death. They often shared confidences as two of the oldest practitioners at the bar over the years, and were never afraid of going after justice, never afraid of controversy or confrontation in the interest of their clients and in the interest of justice and in the interest of the good and proper practice of the law.
And in a statement today, the opposition New Democratic Party described the Queen's Counsel as a well-respected lawyer and defender of the legal and political rights of fellow Vincentians, who was a close friend and valued supporter of the party. The NDP said Parmesan QC will be truly missed and extended sympathy and love to his family. The police are on the hunt for two men in connection with a series of reported burglaries in the South Central Division. The SVG Police Force today issued a wanted bulletin for Edwin Kane of Lomans Hill, Salt Rivers, and Ezekiah Simmons of Belvedere Prospect, who are said to be persons of interest in reported burglaries. The police is soliciting your assistance in locating the subjects. If seen, the police are asking to contact any police station or the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of crimes at telephone number 456-1339. That's 456-1339 or 457-1211. 457-1211, extension 217, or officer in charge of the South Central Division at 458-4200. Calls to the police say they will be treated confidentially. Reviving the Garifuna traditions and culture in St. Vincent and the Grenadines continues to be a struggle, but two brothers are not giving up on their attempts to do so. They have established a Kalinago Center at Montrose to showcase the Garifuna traditions and culture. Larissa Pugsley Kidd tells us more in this report.
The Sutherland brothers from Sandy Bay are doing the best they can to revive the Kalinago Garifuna culture here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They have a centre at Montrose where some of the traditions and culture are on showcase at least once a week. On Tuesday, we were given a tour of this centre.
And this is the agouti bone.
Augustine Sutherland, also known as Sardu, manages the centre and teaches to those who are interested about the dying traditions and culture of the Garifunas, with a hope that these persons can pass on the knowledge to other generations.
You will find many books about St. Vincent, but it's missing the link of a lot of things. For instance, not everything that we see in the British books, history books pertaining to St. Vincent, for me, I don't think is the truth.
At the centre, one can view a canoe built by the Sutherland brothers several years ago. The canoe, which is the first to be built in 100 years, measuring over 25 feet long, was one of the Garifuna most important and vital tool for transportation. Also at the centre, the Sutherland brothers teach the skills of using the bow and arrow, which were used by the Garifunas for fishing and hunting. One can also sample food made from wild meat at the centre.
This is what made from the cassava.
The Sutherland brothers were able to carry on the traditions learned from their great-grandmother, the oldest woman from Sandy Bay, who died at the age of 110. Decked out in their Garifuna wear, Frankie Sutherland, also known as Uncle Pie, said when he first put on the attire, he was met with mixed reactions, but was never ashamed of it.
Always be brave. The first time I ever put it on for way is of Fort Charlotte. I'd be a little scared of it, you know. As some people feel to themselves, well, like if I half naked or something like that. We never really get harassed after that. Always brave enough who could be able to wear our tribal clothes.
Uncle Pie's worst fear is that all his teachings will go in vain, noting that there is little interest from the younger generation to learn about the traditions and culture of their ancestors.
But none really, up to the time, none really like got it as like something very serious. The guy, something like if it's joke, joke thing, but we get it real serious.
The Sutherland brothers said their work has been from the heart, knowing that it is costly to upkeep the center. However, they were lucky to receive help from an international agency. For SVG-TV News, Larissa Pogsley-Kidd.
And the 8th International Garifuna Conference will open this evening virtually, with 12 persons making presentations over the next 3 days. President of the Garifuna Foundation, Darky Williams, said the conference will examine issues, forge networks, and strengthen global links to support the center's development, which was established 20 years ago.
We are hoping the topics covered will be as interesting as they used to be at the person-to-person interactions. The continuing debate on expanding the recognition for Garifuna people of Vincentians, continuing to accept Garifuna culture and the Garifuna heritage as a part of their own, a part of Vincentian history, a part of Vincentian identity. I think that is not as widespread as we in St. Vincent expect it to be. So we are hoping to continue the discussion.
This year marks 224 years since the expulsion of the Garifuna from the island of Urumi, the ancestral homeland St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Williams said that there still needs to be more research done on the history of the Garifuna people, which the foundation continues to facilitate.
We need to have other entities like Kalinago tribes becoming involved and bringing the practical, or a more practical, a more visible kind of exposition to the existence and the history of Kalinago and Garifuna. Even that is a problem because people tend to want to put the two into two different fields. Kalinago over there, Garifuna over here. This country is too small for that.
The theme for this year's International Garifuna Conference is celebrating 20 years of the UNESCO Declaration, a masterpiece of intangible heritage of mankind living the Garifuna heritage and culture after 224 years.